Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Japan Business Podcast, episode 6. Last time we talked about market research, and this time we're going to talk about public speaking in business and in Japanese business specifically. Now, I think the most important point in public speaking is that it is a tool to effectively communicate. If you want to communicate well with your client, business partner, or whoever you're addressing on the Japanese market, having some confidence in public speaking is very important. You might be asking, Eric, are you talking about public speaking in Japanese? I don't speak any Japanese. I got you covered as well in that aspect. I think it's important, if you want to deal with Japan, to know some basics of the Japanese culture as well as the language. And to start off, the maybe most important point about public speaking and why you should have a decent level of communicating is because effective public speaking gives you a certain amount of credibility. You establish a certain amount of credibility with the business partner or with the client you're working or talking with. If you can't bring a message across, or if you can't pitch whatever you want to pitch, you're not going to get trust easily from the person you're working with. And no matter how good your product or service is, it is very important to have some means of effective communication. And if you can speak well and have some public speaking experience and skills, you will be able to build strong business relationships. In addition, I want to say that tailoring presentations to the Japanese audience, for example, if you need to give a presentation in person or online, is also very important. So, for example, if you pitch your product or service or company to a Japanese audience, you need to be aware how you utilize your communication or your public speaking skills. It's important to understand that highlighting cultural nuances when talking to Japanese business partners and to adjust your style accordingly is important. For example, try to simplify. If you present in English, try to simplify your language. Try to make it as simple as possible. If you have a script written out for your presentation, ask, for example, ChatGPT to simplify the script so a elementary school student would understand it. Now, what is also important is that you use visuals, obviously, but keep in mind that Japanese prefer having data, so facts and figures, over just a simple picture. So if you have some product or some service that you want to sell, if you can add facts and figures about maybe your sales, about maybe the benefits that your customer is getting, or your customers are getting from the product, the more the better. Try to focus really on facts and figures, because the more you can put your assumptions, or let's say your pitch and your advantages of the product that you're selling onto certain facts and figures of your company, product or service, then people will trust you more, because usually numbers don't lie, according to many Japanese. Then, in addition to that, I think overcoming the language barrier is not always easy, but what really helps is if you start with some basic Japanese. I assume there are some Japanese speakers that are watching this. Some might not speak Japanese at all, but I want to give you an example on how I improved my Japanese public speaking skills, and that was a club called Toastmasters. This is an international public speaking club, and there's also a Japanese section where they have Japanese English, so bilingual or purely Japanese Toastmasters clubs. And what you do is you just go to the website district76.org, and there you find under club info on top a list of all clubs. And there are many clubs that meet online, so you don't have to be in person, you don't have to be in Japan. And what I used to do, I used to pick the clubs that met early morning in Japan, which was evening or late afternoon or evening for me. And I just tried out a couple of clubs, and the one that most resonated with me, the one that I felt most welcome with, you can join completely for free up to 2 or 3 times per club. And then the membership fee is, I think, per semester. So you pay for 6 months is about 8,000 yen, or I'd say less than $60. So this is something that I can highly recommend if you already have some basic level of Japanese. But if not, there are also a lot of English speaking clubs, or you can only participate in the English speaking sessions and then just observe the Japanese sessions to learn more about Japanese communication style. And the time investment I already mentioned the financial investment, which is really minimal, but the time investment is around 1 to 2 hours every other week. So every other week, or some only meet once a month as well. So there are different options. So I can highly recommend taking advantage of this resource. If you're at the absolute beginning and you're reluctant to talk in front of other people, what I can also recommend is an online language learning platform called italki. And they have a lot of Japanese teachers that you can choose from, and you can just start your journey in regards to public speaking there, and you can adjust your request or your requirements to talking to your teacher about your product or service. So you can basically learn how to tailor and get feedback as well, how to tailor your pitch, be it in Japanese or in English, to a language teacher who will also help you with the nuances that you might need to consider in addressing a Japanese audience. So I think if you know how to implement public speaking into your overall business strategy, so for example, giving talks when you have the chance at events like trade shows, being in an expert panel, knowing if you're in an expert panel or at a trade show in Japan, knowing at least a Japanese entrance on how to start addressing the Japanese audience, and then when it gets too technical or complicated, or your skill is not there yet, to apologize and switch over to English. I think this is a very valuable asset to invest in. Again, I can highly recommend Toastmasters in Japan, really valuable resources that I've been taking advantage of as well, and any online language learning platform. And the example that I have given was italki. Now, if you develop your public speaking skills, this will be also an asset that you will have lifelong. I have to say, it is something like going to the gym, so you might get rusty if you're not doing public speaking for a while, but once you're back at it, it's usually like riding a bicycle. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of the resources that I've mentioned. Public speaking is not only a really valuable asset in doing business with Japan, but in your business life in general, and I would say also in your personal life. You can see the advantages along the way. I have to say I have really benefited from being part of Toastmasters. So I encourage you to implement the strategies that we've discussed today in your business endeavors. In the next episode of the Japan Business Podcast, we will talk about spiritual development in business. Yes, you heard right. It's going to be a bit esoteric at some stage, but bear with me because there's definitely some benefits to spirituality in business. So I look forward to talking to you again in the next episode. This is Eric signing out. Arigatou gozaimasu.